This is the Blaze Radio on demand.
Tickets for Glenn Beck's We Will Not Conform event on July 22nd are now on sale. Visit WeWillNotConform.com to find a movie theater near you and join us for a night to make Common Core history. Now, spreading freedom across the nation. This is
3, 2, 1. The Buck Sexton Show.
Team Buck, I have missed you so. I hope you had an excellent weekend. Thank you so much for joining me today in the Freedom Hut. We are, of course, live, and we have so much to do, and it tends to be the case, so little time. So first, I just want to jump right into it, because I think we've maybe hit something of a tipping point. I have to pick all the clever idioms I can here to say things like that. Maybe this is the straw that has broken the camel's back, or maybe this is the canary in the coal mine, or maybe this is I don't know. You'll come up with one. You'll send it to me. You'll tweet it to me. But the IRS has finally run out of room, and the IRS has now been backed into a corner. Now, this is all part of a broader narrative, by the way, one that I want to talk to you about today, and that is the criminalization of politics. Now, that's something that in this country we tend to think is not really a major concern. We don't criminalize politics here. That's done in tin pot dictatorships. That's done in banana republics. That's done in places where there's no constitution. They don't have the founding fathers. They don't have a history of representative democracy in a republic and all the rest. No. We have that here as well. And in fact, we have it more over the past 6 years than I think any of us could have possibly anticipated. You see, now there's a common mode of attack, a common mechanism in which you will look for a way to find something, make it illegal. You'll find a way to make it illegal. You'll find a judge who will agree with you. You'll make sure there's no principle involved. It's just bare-knuckle politics. This has now become the left-wing way. This is how they have criminalized politics. Some of you, I'm sure, no doubt heard on Friday, there was a congressional hearing that took a little peek into how the IRS lost thousands of emails from an ex-official, Lois Lerner, who was targeting conservative groups. Now, she's apologized for that. So there's no doubt from anyone as to the degree of culpability for the IRS in this. They did it. The only question is, how far does it go, and what was the motivation? The only questions, I should say. And it was one moment where I have to say, Paul Ryan really decided that it was time to lay it down. Now, before I give you some of Ryan's greatest hits from Friday, just understand, this thing is a long way from over. In fact, over the weekend, House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman Darrell Issa gave the IRS Commissioner John Koskinen quite a bit of research to do. He sent the agency chief a letter this past weekend with 50 technological questions related to those missing emails. He has 50 questions he wants answered before a hearing that will happen this evening. There's also a follow-up hearing on this same topic tomorrow. So there's an IRS hearing tonight, 7 p.m., and there's a follow-up tomorrow. This is going to get ugly. I certainly hope it does, because it should, because what happened here, what the IRS did, was ugly. It was un-American, it was unconstitutional, and it was illegal. And I think you started to get some sense of that when you heard Paul Ryan, former vice presidential candidate, current congressman, give a pretty tough time to the IRS commissioner on Friday. Listen to just a little bit of that.
This is unbelievable. The apology that ought to be given is to the American taxpayer, not to a government agency that is abusing its power. I am sitting here listening to this testimony. I don't believe it. That's your problem.
Neither do we.
Nobody believes you.
Nope.
Come on now.
The Internal Revenue Service comes to Congress a couple years ago and misleads us and says no targeting is occurring. Then it said it was a few rogue agents in Cincinnati. Then it said it was also on progressives. All of those things have been proven untrue.
Lies.
This committee sent a criminal referral of possible criminal wrongdoing just a month ago to the Justice Department. We've heard nothing.
Can you pause it there for 1 second? Remember this. When I'm talking about the criminalization of politics, this isn't an artful phrase. I'm not trying to just whip up a frenzy here. Oh, they're criminal. They're actually trying to criminalize politics. They want to send people with opposing points of view to prison. They want their families to have to go see them during visiting hours and stare across some sort of a plexiglass window at them and maybe get to touch their hand before some security escorts them out. Maybe they'll get commissary privileges for their constitutionally protected right under the First Amendment, by the way. They're being thrown in jail. That's what the other side wants. They don't seem to have a problem with that. Remember, there was a time when there were some absolutists of the First Amendment on the left. They've gone. They've left. They don't exist anymore. Very, very few. You could probably name a couple if you really looked into it that actually matter, that matter in the discourse, that have a voice that carries some weight among their own. Now the First Amendment has just become an inconvenience to the statist progressive left because they've been able to push so far and so fast under President Obama. The First Amendment now is essentially just an impediment. It is an irritation. It bothers them. They don't want people to be able to point out that the president's a liar. They don't want people to be able to use regulations under the IRS to their benefit for their side. No, only the Democrats can do that. Remember this. Lois Lerner wanted to send people to jail. For what? Put aside for a second the politics. Just think of this on a human level. She wants people to be criminally prosecuted, to be locked away in cells with, yes, I know they won't be in the same cell block. Maybe they'll be in a lower security wing, but this is what we do for rapists and murderers. This is what we do for people that rob grocery stores and banks. We're going to put somebody who organizes a Tea Party group in there because they think the government should be smaller. What better reason could you have for wishing the government to be smaller than the recognition that that same government now is seeking to destroy those who make that case? Seeking to destroy you. Just give it time. They'll be seeking to destroy me if we keep doing as well as we have, Team Buck. Trust me on that. And yet here we are. The IRS staring at Paul Ryan, beady-eyed, not caring much at all, Koskinen just sort of knowing that he's protected by the bureaucracy and that eventually this will all go away, and his little Democrat buddies in the House and the Senate, and unfortunately for now in the White House, they've got his back because they did their part. The IRS took one for the team, the statist, progressive, authoritarian team. They took one. And they know they'll get paid back. They know their budgets will be protected. They know their perquisites. They know their little petty privileges will all be kept in place. Because they probably threw an election for Barack Obama. They probably kept the Tea Party from having 2010 replayed in 2012. It was a success in that respect. And they were willing to even consider putting people in jail, destroying their reputations, their lives, taking away their freedom, because they disagree with them. You used to hear self-righteous members of the left say things like, I disagree with you to the fullest, but I'll defend your right to disagree with me to the death. Variations on that. You don't really hear that anymore. They hate Citizens United, and I'm going to talk to you more about this hatred of Citizens United because it is absolutely hypocritical. They are abject, bald-faced liars on the issue of Citizens United. They pretend that this is this evil decision. There's all this scheming. People are getting together in basements and considering how to use outside money to subvert elections. Republicans, greedy fat cats with top hats and monocles. It's just not the case. In fact, Democrats have made fantastic use, unfortunately for the Republic, of super PACs. The doors that have been opened by Citizen United, they have run through them greedily. And yet they proclaim that they are opposed to this, and it's terrible. And they go after people, and they criminally prosecute people, and they destroy lives and reputations, and never feel any remorse in the process. Do you think Lois Lerner feels remorse? No. I think she thinks she did her part for the statists. A jihadi for the progressives. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Let's give you a little more of Paul Ryan. Finally saying what I think all the rest of America already recognizes, which is, IRS, you're just lying.
Bury in a 27-page letter to the Senate asking for them to conclude the investigation that you've lost Lois Lerner's emails during the time in question because of a hard drive crash. Monday, our investigators asked your agency whether any other hard drives crashed, and we learned that 6 other hard drives of the people we're investigating were involved. You didn't tell us that.
We told you on Monday.
On Monday.
And what did you do with the information?
Because we asked you.
Right, and what did you do with that information?
You told us on Monday because we asked you whether any other hard drives crashed. This is unbelievable.
We answered
you told us on May that you were going to give us all of Lois Lerner's emails, and you learned in February that this crashed.
I did not learn in February it was a crash, and we told you on Monday.
I'm not asking you a question. I'm just making a statement.
My apologies.
You are the Internal Revenue Service. You can reach into the lives of hardworking taxpayers, and with a phone call, an email, or a letter, you can turn their lives upside down. You asked taxpayers to hang on to 7 years of their personal tax information in case they're ever audited, and you can't keep 6 months' worth of employee emails?
I've said that before. 7 years of your tax returns, and they'll be merciless with you. Merciless. But 6 months of employee emails. 7 for 7 on hard drive crashes. Congress wants 7 different individuals' hard drives. Oh, they all crashed. You know, I worked for the federal government for years. I worked for local government for a little while. I've had lots of computers. I've never had an irretrievable hard drive crash, ever. I'm not saying it can happen, but 7 for 7? This is just too much. The lies have gotten too big. The rot has spread too far. And it's not just on the IRS either. The criminalization of politics extends even further. I'm going to talk to you about the latest with the John Doe investigations in Wisconsin with Governor Scott Walker. Yeah, that's still a thing that we need to keep an eye on because they're trying to throw a gubernatorial election too. 888-900-3393. Team Buck, light up the lines. Broad Voice is open. The Broad Voice screen wants some friends to join it, which means you need to call in. We are back in a minute.
Taking intelligence to a whole new level. Buck Sexton.
The Blaze Radio Network.
Get your Team Buck t-shirt at theblaze.com.
So I've been telling you for some time about these really Kafkaesque John Doe investigations in Wisconsin. They involve pre-dawn raids on homes with SWAT teams because of campaign coordination. No one's stealing money. No one's hurting anyone. It's about the First Amendment and how much the government can regulate the First Amendment. And oh, by the way, that First Amendment apparently doesn't apply to you if you're the target of one of these John Doe investigations, because under Wisconsin state law,